Mă numesc Roman și vă urez bun venit și mă bucur că vă văd așa de mulți aici. Deja spune că există un interes. Sper că nu e o oră prea târzie pentru a afla ceva nou. Eu îmi dau seama că într-un workshop de o oră jumătate nu pot să transmit sau să facem un curs foarte extensiv de tot ce înseamnă marketing și tot tooling-ul care stă în spate. Și am ales să îngust subiectul mai înspre zona asta de profitabilitate, înțelegând că avem aici persoane care reprezintă business-uri din diferite tipuri de modele. M-am străduit să acopăr partea asta de retail și e-commerce și partea de lead generation, care am văzut că prevalează destul de mult în sesiunile de mentorat. Ca să povestesc un pic despre mine, promit să nu fie mult, sunt din Chișinău. Cred că ultimii 9 ani am lucrat anume în partea asta de marketing și în special în zona de agenții. Mai devreme am avut și niște background-uri de sales și de lucru cu clienții, dar nu cred că este relevant serii de azi. Am început cariera în partea de agenții, în care lucram în agenție. Am început într-o agenție mică, eventual am trecut ca să văd ce înseamnă o agenție mare și multinațională și ce înseamnă să lucrez cu niște branduri mai mari, gen Procter Gamble Cola. Și lucram într-un fel de hub care executa campaniile pentru mai multe branduri din astea destul de mari și tot ce înseamnă parte de media buying. După care mi-am dat seama că ar fi interesat să descoper partea de marketing de performanță. Și atunci am trecut într-o agenție locală din Moldova, care la etapa aceea era destul de mică, eram la început, dar a fost foarte interesant să văd evoluția noastră ca și business și a mea ca specialist în cadrul unei familii foarte mici, de 4 oameni, să ajungem la, cred eu, una dintre top 3 agenții de marketing din Moldova, lucrând cu branduri, dacă nu mari, dar inclusiv și mari din Moldova, la sigur interesante. Mă bucur chiar să văd și fețe cunoscute din experiența mea anterioară. După care am trecut, eu eram responsabil, apropo, de partea asta de departamentul care se ocupa de tot ce înseamnă lansări, performanță, automatizări, creare de strategii și partea de comunicare cu clienții. Eventual mi-am dat seama că există oportunități și în afară. Niciodată nu m-am gândit că aș putea să fac parte din diaspora. Eram prea convins și sigur că am să rămân acasă, până când mi-am dat seama că pot să simți acasă în mai multe locuri, oricum acasă rămâne acasă și asta e Chișinău. Poate și chiar regret un pic că am plecat destul de bătrân și mi-am lăsat cea mai mare parte din suflet aici și asta o să rămână destul de mult. Asta și explică de ce sunt aici, vreau și chiar îmi pasă de business-urile și de startup-urile locale. Am ajuns la Google. Google am lucrat un an și ceva pe piața din România. Am fost responsabil de relația trilaterală dintre client și agenție. Agențiile fiind de top premier partners din România și clienții lor de top locali. Cu branduri cum ar fi Sephora, cum ar fi Flanco și alte branduri din multe tipuri de verticale, adică era destul de multilateral portofoliu. Eventual trecând într-un alt tip de poziție în care, și la momentul de față fiind în ea, în care lucrez cu business-ul de agenție din țări ca și Kazahstan, Ucraina și Belarusia. Sună, nu e deloc ușor și într-adevăr nu e, pentru că fiecare țară simte contextul geopolitic foarte specific și în felul ei și sunt unice în felul lor și e foarte greu să le clusterizez într-un singur loc și să menții o relație, dar nu este imposibil și chiar am avut destul de multe provocări anul ăsta. Acum sunt responsabil ca agențiile cu care lucrez să înțeleagă foarte bine produsele Google, să știe foarte bine să articuleze și să creeze o strategie digitală și să poată să-și mențină benchmark-ul de agenții de top 3 din piață și să crească, care este un indicator pentru noi de performanța agențiilor. Pe lângă toate, mai am și eu un mic startup, e o fabrică de bere cu un spirit foarte mândru de văslui, care se numește Ultimul Om. Suntem și noi la început, avem deja câteva localuri în care suntem în testări de rețete, de abordări, de cum să arate berea asta și cum să o poziționăm. Respectiv, vă înțeleg pe mulți dintre voi care sunteți la faza inițială și ați început partea de startup. Astea fiind spuse, cred că putem să trecem la partea utilă a lucrurilor, and I will switch to English. So today I will be talking about why should we bid to value? How do we understand the value that the client might bring to our business? And in my opinion, this is crucial, and it's a missed part in a lot of setups and accounts that I have been analyzing last 9 years. Lately, it became more popular as a concept to track the value, but it's still very diffused. People don't necessarily, or business doesn't understand necessarily why should we track the value that a client is bringing to our business. Why should we invest in our digital maturity as a business? Why should we track and to understand what's the difference between one client to another client? So today we'll be analyzing a more in-depth approach to how to do this, and maybe to understand why shall we do this. Now, I guess it's not a new word for you, machine learning, AI. I guess it's a buzzword, everybody uses it, everybody uses machine learning, even maybe somebody from here has some product that is based on machine learning or on AI. I won't be stopping on AI here. It will be more about automatizing and understanding the value, but still our products, and it's not necessarily only about Google products, but it's a trend that it's reflected in a lot of platforms with whom maybe you are working now. So now it's very important, it's crucial to define some KPIs and to feed the machinery with data. So it's very important to communicate what do you expect from a platform where you sell your campaigns, what do you expect from it, how do you measure it, and how you improve it. So the most important is how to do you train and do you tell the algorithms what do you expect from them. In my experience, and as it was proven, the customer journey it's not linear. It's not that you started with an idea and then you ended with a purchase. It's not like this. It's messy. So it's a lot of exploration, and then it's a lot of evaluation. It's a lot of analyzing different offers. It's not even about loyalty. It's only about the price. It's about actually the logistics, the speed, the product quality. It might be more important than the loyalty now, especially considering some economic disturbances in our markets. That's why up to 44% of consumers will shift preferences to some alternative brands that might deliver better product or a better price. That's why I won't be stopping a lot on how do we set our marketing funnel. And I know the marketing funnel, or how do we've had a lot of trainings in Moldova about varonka продаж, pâlnia de vânzări, cum să faci mai bună. It became a buzzword, and it became a bit, misunderstood, at least. Because the meaning itself was a bit diffused because of those big numbers of trainings. That's why my goal for today will be to speak mostly about this part of the funnel. So we'll be speaking about how do we drive action and how do we retain our client base. First of all, maybe we won't be stopping here, but I guess it's very important to point a single idea, is that you have to have a clear understanding what do you do in every phase of the marketing funnel. Even discussing in those mentorship sessions, we had some discussions regarding the fact that maybe we had some campaigns set on certain KPIs, but we didn't receive any sales. But the KPI was some video views. Or maybe we had some event promo campaigns and then we ended with low sales. But yeah, but you planted apples. You just want to get apples, not potatoes. And it's very important to understand that. So it's very important to maintain a very healthy funnel, which means you have to create demand. You have to invest in your brand performance. You have also to invest in the consideration phase, which means that if you are sure that people are already searching for a brand, you might want to expand those brand searches. Because I saw some advertisers that get up to 60% of their sales from their brand searches. What does that mean? It's huge. It's a lot of weight of the brand. At some point, when you look into statistics, you just see that you cover 99% of your brand searches, so you just have no space where to expand. Okay? What do you do next? You invest in your brand in order to expand it, in order to generate more brand searches, in order to be sure that your competitors are not bidding on your brand, and you secure your brand traffic that it comes to you. That's the first thing. Then you might also understand that there are similar brands on other markets with whom you also want to compete and you want to go to other markets, and you reset the process from zero. And then in the consideration phase, you also have to analyze very carefully what do you do here, because you should actually be very creative with your audiences, because if you moved a client from the brand awareness phase to consideration phase, then it means that he already knows at least your brand. He might be visiting your website once or twice. Sorry.
Could you please explain the influence consideration, because the rest of the steps seem to be clear, but influence consideration?
Sure. So in the brand awareness phase, you are only showing for the first time for the user. So, hello, I'm Roman. It's just that's it. In the second phase, at that point where you will need some marketing consultancy services, you'll know that there is a Roman and some other players. That's the consideration phase. So then I know as a business, as a consultancy business, is that you just moved from searching for a generic problem, like marketing consultancy services, moving to marketing consultancy service and choosing several brands. And then the question is, which brand will you choose eventually? So in this phase, it's more for retargeting, it's more for niched audiences. I will explain it a bit later, but it's flirting with the users who already know a bit about you and might consider you if they have more than two options.
They have a long list to make sure.
Yes. Yes, so this is the long list, and here might be the short list. Right. In that phase. We'll be talking today already about the capturing domain, because it's a lot, so we need more than an hour and a half. Good, but thanks for the question. So, why bidding to value? Let's take an example where 3 customers bring us 3 different values. One brings us $100, $300, and $500. Imagine that you have some already set up campaigns that you already drive some traffic. The most common scenario that I have noticed, including in our market, is that I want to set the campaigns and to optimize them on cost per sale. Usually you communicate to the system that I am ready to give for a new client $10. But is that equal, considering the value that the client is bringing? Is that? No. Yes, it's not equal. Because you can bid $10 for $100. Okay, yeah, you have a pretty good ROI. It's nice. But if you stop this, if you just cap the system to bid only $10 for a client that brings you $500, you just won't be taking part in that auction. So the system does not know what value is that third client. He just knows that he is allowed to bid only with $10, and that doesn't matter the value. Then might be more likely that you lose that client, and maybe even this one, just because you didn't bid enough. Bidding too aggressive, it means that you don't enter in an auction where actually a new sale might bring you some extra value or twice the value. So here might be a better case when you just might invest $15 or even $50 for.
So maybe I'm again new in this. What does it mean to bid for $10 then?
Did you have the chance to interact with some media buying platforms?
No, that's why.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe everyone else knows the topic.
We are talking here about buying keyword searches and showing search.
It might be, it's one of the cases, but usually how does it, let me define just a simple example how it's happening normally. So you have a query, a Google search query. Okay. For example, restaurant solutions for menus. Right. And then that query must be covered by an ad or an organic result, with a snippet, yeah. Some search results. Okay. And here's the business that is advertising those services. And he tells to the system that, okay, I'm ready to give only $10 for a sale. It doesn't matter how many competitors are in place there, what's the competition happening. It's just the $10 that I have to, it's my limit that I have to spend. In this case, he has a chance to be shown if the bid is lower than $10, or if the competition is very high, he just won't be displayed in that competition, in that auction. So that means he won't be shown as a response to your query. So he loses an opportunity, you just lose a solution, might be. Or you just go to the next competitor that has the result and the search result there. So that's a simple explanation of how does the auction works. Usually, actually, there are other factors that might influence if you are displayed in a search auction. But just defining simple example is this. It's all about the bid. The simplest model of bidding is with a CPC, cost per click. That's the most basic type of bidding. Now, just for clarifying things, please raise your hand if you set once, at least once, a Google Ads campaign, Facebook Ads campaign. Perfect. LinkedIn, my target, Одноклассники. Okay, good. Who's a business owner here? Who's taking part in creating marketing strategies? Okay, I understood. Please don't be shy to ask me some clarifying questions, because I want the information to be delivered equal. So thank you for. Did I make it more clear? Okay, perfect.
How does he know that the person who is clicking on your site is a high-value customer or it's a low-value customer?
That's our presentation about. So very good question. Yeah, I hope you'll have the answer at the end. So yes. Today we'll be talking about differentiating the customers, bidding to what matters, what brings value to our business, and how to drive increased performance. It's also applicable to different scenarios. If either it's online sales, it's omnichannel sales, and lead generation. So we'll be covering mostly all those three types of business models, which are mostly covering basically all the business types. As I told you, there are different models and types of optimizing your campaigns. I assume that you might be having a team or somebody who's doing your campaign. At least you will have the idea to communicate to them. CPC is the most basic. You just buy traffic, and it doesn't matter what happens. I truly recommend not to have a lot of expectations when optimizing only to CPC. You are just sure that you deliver a certain amount of traffic, and maybe you have some calculation or your statistical probability that delivering enough traffic might bring you some sales. But maybe not. It all depends on how qualitative is the traffic. That's why you can switch to CPA. CPA is a cost per action. So we move to delivering a traffic quantity to a traffic quality. I need the system to bring me enough conversions that I choose to prioritize as a conversion. It might be a video view, it might be a lead form completion, it might be a add to cart, even a purchase. It's also a CPA, but it's only how much am I willing to give for that conversion to happen without understanding how much will that conversion bring to me as a business. I don't have the seeing on this. Cost of sales, it's a bit better. So I just want to understand how much will I pay for a sale. The value doesn't matter, but I know that I pay for a sale. So it's a verified sale, it already happened, so it's a transaction.
Basically, this is until they actually pay online.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
calculated.
Yes. So a sale could be in e-commerce, a sale could be in lead generation, is the same. So at that point when his money went to your account, that's a cost of sale. And then
We are calculating touch points before, yes?
we'll be covering this as well because it's important. So yeah, good point. And here is ROAS. Here is a very interesting thing. Here you communicate to the system, look, I have an euro and I want every euro spent in my account to bring me 5 euros back as sales, or 10 or 15. I can be ambitious. But it also has to be adequate to your business results. And then it's to profit. You can also import your profitability in the system. And then the system will know that, okay, you are investing now in campaigns, but you are focused on profitability. And then there might be, especially that might be interesting for e-commerce businesses from here, from retail. There are different profitabilities in different product categories, yeah? Yeah. So then it might be a good idea to optimize differently and to set different targets if you have different profitabilities between your products or your services. Because I'm even sure that here we have businesses that provide multiple services, which have different profitabilities. So it's also possible to optimize to profitability. And then to the long-term profit. Please.
Can you explain one more time the difference between return on ad spend and profit? Because similar.
Yeah. When you have the optimization to return on ad spend, you calculate the relationship between your invested money and your revenue. But the revenue is including the amount that you are paying for buying the product and also the profit margin that is on top. While optimizing on profit, it means that you just optimize on what you have as your profit, as a business, as the profit margin, okay? Because the ROAS is including everything inside. The delivery costs, the operational costs, everything is here, but included in the revenue that you put on client's shoulder. Here is only your operational profit. And then is the lifetime value that you also can calculate. You can calculate how much value is a client bringing you in a certain amount of time. It could be a year, it could be a quarter. It all depends on how does your business work. Sure.
For example, if we talk about cost per click, this is
Yeah.
something that you can see how many clicks in Google Ads, let's say. Cost
Yeah.
per action, here you already can look into analytics probably to see how many goals you reached.
Right.
So on. So each of it has a tool that can show it. We will discuss how this can be monitored, or we just today we find out about the ways how you can see.
We will cover some tools that you can use in order to have the proper setup for this. I won't be going. I won't deep dive because it's too technical and might be bored some. But I can just advise you. Yeah.
And also a quick question. Of course, I also heard mostly being used the CPC, but why would anyone choose CPC if you can have like, cost of sales or the ROAS or the profit, which makes more sense? Is it because it's just cheaper, or why would anyone choose the clicks per, cost per clicks?
It's an outstanding question. We are trying also to answer it as a company and as specialists, but it has explanations. First of all, that's the simplest way and the most straightforward. You don't get too complicated. You don't complicate yourself with some advanced tracking systems. You just don't even install analytics. Maybe you just buy traffic, and you know that traffic might bring you something. And for a lot of people, it might be enough. Or it's about digital maturity, which is lacking in some businesses, or early setups, or new businesses that don't quite understand how to do this. So that's why it's CPC, because that's the most straightforward way to launch your first campaigns.
But this is for brand awareness. You want more people to know about you.
Yes, or it might be, it's easier also to calculate, because here you have a certain limit that you put on traffic, or you set a media plan, you have only the CPC, you have the amount of money that you have, and then you just launch the campaign without getting overcomplicated with the other KPIs.
But if we compare, for example, for cost of sales, how complicated is that? Because you can see exactly how much money you have, and how many sales you've got. Isn't it also straightforward?
I agree, but if you have the tracking, if you track what's the cost of sales, if you track the sales, because. But
I mean, if the sale is done only exclusively online, then it's easy to track, no?
It's easy enough, but you have to have the proper knowledge to set up, which is pretty straightforward. It's not complicated. It's not like quantum physics, but still it involves some skills, or somebody with the required skills that has to be paid, which sometimes.
IT skills or marketing skills?
It's more into IT skills or programming skills.
You can
That's
have
why.
different ways how to get
Yes.
people on your platform.
Yes.
And if you want to monitor the investment that you did in campaigns, you need to look at that.
Yes.
The social
Yes.
impact or SEO.
And it's the same with every buying platform, mostly every buying platform with whom you work. You have an interface where you buy traffic, and a separate interface with some tracking systems where you analyze the traffic. And usually it's a necessity to set it accordingly. So yeah, it's important. Good. I was telling you about the KPIs and how are they different between the optimization goals. Here are some KPIs that might be very high level, is the business ones, is that not obvious one. I like to give it as an example of a good agency or a good marketing specialist is an agency or a human who can translate easily the business language into marketing language. So a business goal into a marketing goal. And sometimes people get lost here because they don't necessarily translate and know how to translate. Because let's take an example. There is a director, a CEO. He wants profits, he wants revenue, he wants market share, he wants profit increases. He doesn't understand how the CPC works. He's not required to understand it. That's why he's paying a marketing specialist or an agency. And it totally makes sense. But there should be one who knows how to translate it, because his boss wants revenue. Now, let's understand, how do we want to get this revenue? Okay, obviously it's from purchases from customers. How do we get those customers to purchase? Well, we have to invest more in media buying. But how do we invest in media buying? That's about engagements and purchases and lead forms and a lot of other types of web interactions or mobile interactions within your business and users, getting them in that messy middle that I was showing you to reach a campaign objective, which might be, I want my brand to be known, or I want you to buy from my brand. It's different, but it's very important to have all those campaigns for all those media goals that you have. For example, it's very hard to track, if you are Coca-Cola, the correlation between business and between marketing investments and the sales, because they're happening in the shops, in the grocery shops. So it's very hard. That's why it's calculated differently. It's not a direct correlation. They just calculate and aggregate all their investments at a market level together with the TV, with radio, with online, and then they measure the incremental that happened on top of organic. Yes. So in that case, they do understand. And it's easily, for example, for Enter or for Darwin to understand their sales, just because it's a simple math. So I invest this amount of money, those amount of money is delivering some campaign goals, and there is a certain amount of traffic that gives me sales, brings me sales. In this case, for them, it's more simple to calculate, but everything can be calculated. So that's why there are some above the surface indicators and some things that are not so obvious. For example, the lifetime value, the variable costs that you were asking, like the revenue. You include the revenue, inside the revenue is also the shipping costs, the fulfillment, the returns, which has a certain percentage. You include everything in the price. That's why maybe sometimes it's not so indicated to optimize only towards sales, but maybe towards profits, because the system has a better understanding what indeed is bringing you profits. Good. So what does it mean to bid to value? And here we will just cover some examples. I know it might be too much text, but we won't be stopping on text. It will be stopping on a simple idea to understand how to address to our clients and to differentiate them. In the case where you have businesses that are in online sales, by the way, please raise your hand who has a retail business or an e-commerce. 2, 3.
Working in a retail business.
Working, okay. And optimizing campaigns? Okay, good. Who's in a business who's more about lead gen? Generating leads, services, providing some services, software as a service,
Yes.
apps, SaaS. Okay, yes, that's about lead gen. We'll be also covering this shortly. So, here, if you remember the CPC, if you remember the CPA, it will be about sale volume. So it will be deliver you some volumes of sales. It doesn't matter what value of those sales, but it's the volume. I want a lot of sales. It doesn't matter what value. Here, you just optimize and bid by tracking transactions and understanding what's the value and the total amount of your sales. Then you can switch to move to optimize to profit. Is that you import also conversions that are happening offline. Might be conversions that are happening offline thanks to some online interactions, and it is possible to identify a user from online to offline. For example, if you have a fidelity system and he's identifying himself when he buys, then it will be possible to link the interaction that happened online when he was researching and interacted with your paid campaigns, then he went offline and bought something. So it's possible to find him.
For example, the promo code that Azart clothing shop is like show the QR code with.
Yes, but I'm not sure if that QR code is only applying a voucher, maybe not. But if that QR code is also linked to your existing account in some internal system when you have a user, there, you are becoming identifiable. So then we know that you interacted online and then bought offline.
You can track him if he has an account on your site.
Yes.
And if he has a tracking code.
Yes, and that's possible, and that's even necessary to do if you have a retail business. Good. What's happening in offline sales? It's also possible to sell, to move from online tracking to offline tracking if you have the ability to have a CRM, for example, or to identify some creative ways of identifying the user. For example, as I told you, having a fidelity system or a CRM, or maybe if he's logging when he has the purchase, he gets a discount. It all depends. What happens in lead generation? Here is a bit different because you have basic leads, which is basically, again, the CPC. You have leads without any quality. Then you have qualified lead value, which means that you already move them to a certain type of a filtering and validating them that they might be qualitative, and also assigning them a static value, like to differentiate them. For example, if you get a lead from Chisinau, might be with a higher value than getting a lead from Orhei, for example, just because maybe there are some logistics towards it, or you know that the average order value from Orhei might be a bit lower than Chisinau. A lot of examples that might be applicable here. Also, it is possible to optimize towards sales values that are including the total amount of online plus online sales. So then the system will have a better understanding on how to optimize those campaigns. Also, it's possible to make offline imports after those leads were moved from the call center to a signed contract, and then to export and to import back in the system only the signed contracts, so only the user data which are about users who already signed the contract or have been already validated by your internal departments. Good. Now let's move a bit to more engaging and interesting things. It will be about how to build like a pro and how to set your campaigns. I know it sounds and it looks like a very sophisticated table, but it's not. Who knows what's the meaning of a micro-conversion? Good. Just imagine that there are very big conversions that can be easily seen from far away, and very small conversions that are bringing you to some certain actions. You ask me about, are there any steps that bring a user to a certain action at the end? What are the steps that what is the journey of a user? Let me put it like this. What's the journey of the user from the first moment he went to your website or understood that he has a need to the moment when he went to buy from yourself? In the online sales scenario, first of all, he might read some reviews about your product. That could be on YouTube, that could be even on your website, which I truly encourage to have. If you have the opportunity to have the reviews about your product or services, do it. If it's a sensitive issue, make them anonymous, but let the reviews be there. That could be considered a micro-conversion, because you can optimize campaigns on reading reviews or on browsing products on your website. That means only one thing. The user is already interested in your product. Maybe he won't be choosing you, but he will be choosing something similar. Or maybe he signed up for a newsletter that he wants just to be updated when something new appeared from your business, or add into cart. With online leads, it's the same. They might be searching for key terms on your website, or browsing on Google search, for example, or other search engines. And then it's easier to understand, to talk with a user who has already made the decision to search and to cover a necessity, either than to talk with him with some visual formats where you assume that he might be needing your products or services. In that case, that means that he is already starting his research and his evaluation phase. Now it's a matter of time and what brand he will choose eventually. In this case, for online leads, it's very important to be there when they are searching for you. Even it's a very niche business. I do understand that here we might be having some SaaS platforms or some very niche and very narrow-oriented services, but they all make sense if somebody is searching for them. Otherwise, I don't understand why would you open a business for something that is not in demand. Reading the blog also, it's a micro conversion. Website chat, starting a chat is also micro conversion. You have to track every interaction that brings the user to the conversion, because it will be, first of all, it will help you to understand better what's top of mind for that user, and second, it will help to the algorithm to train and the machine learning to train on what user attributes has the user who ended the conversion. Therefore, he will understand better. It will understand better to what types of users will we show and display our campaigns. It's also about the call center with phone calls or how to grow loyalty, creating an account, social share. It can be trackable and can be optimized towards it. For example, if you have a branding campaign, or for example, if you have some discounts or sales campaign, maybe it's not the best idea to optimize towards end purchase, but maybe it's a good idea to optimize for downloading your mini book, or to sign up for the newsletter, or just to start a conversation, because it's a better interaction than just having a session. And by the way, one hint here, it's very important that you have the tracking in place. So if you use Google Analytics or whatever analytics platform you use, be sure that it loads. And I've heard questions about why do we see in our advertising platforms a certain amount of traffic, but this amount on our website is like a half or a third or like 25% less. It all depends how fast does the website load, and the code itself also. How fast does the code? Yes, because the advertising system knows just that you went from the platform, you went to the website, and he charged you for a click or eventually for a CPA. But if the tracker didn't load, that interaction won't be measured. If the user uses Safari, Mozilla Firefox, where he's refusing cookies, he will also not be tracked. That's why there are some other tools that are helping you as advertisers to get back some lost data. That would be consent mode banners, for example. Maybe when you are browsing some European websites, you just see this banner that is asking you, are you okay to be tracked with cookies? And you say yes. That is dictating to the cookies that they can track you. If you say no, you won't be tracked. So your session won't be a part of the statistics when the advertiser will analyze his traffic. Also, you won't be a part of the conversion statistics, only in the CRM.
There are systems that if you say no, you cannot do much then as well on the website.
I don't encourage this.
No, I know,
yes.
I've seen systems where you pick no and then,
at some point,
don't open.
I agree. But at some point,
version of the website, I would say.
yeah, but it's not okay to do this. And at some point, there will be laws. There are already laws that if you put the user in a position that you constrain him to do certain actions, it might get bad for the business, also for the website. So it's not a good way of securing your interactions and tracking. So yeah, the main idea here is try to optimize not only towards your sales, but also to optimize and to track, first of all, to track all the interactions that might bring a user to sales. That would be, what could be meaning opening a form, clicking on a form, clicking on a video player on your website, opening the chat, starting a discussion. It's all interactions, and it's recommended to be tracked. You were asking, how do we track it? Okay, you can track it. We're using basically two tools. If you speak about Google, it's Google Tag Manager. There you can deploy a lot of tags. You can configure a lot of triggers. And here is the global site tag, which is you put the code right inside your website. When I was in the agency, I was using more the Google Tag Manager because it's easier to deploy. It's also easier to spread the triggers not only for one advertising platform, but for more. So you can track easily the same conversions in multiple platforms. Who's acquainted with the Google Tag Manager? Nice. Okay, I'm really truly happy to see this. It's an awesome tool, actually. And it will just help you to deploy all this coding in only one gate. There are a lot of courses. From Google, we have free courses for this. Also, there are a lot of YouTube content in every language. Romanian, Russian, English, it doesn't matter. But try to discover it and to understand how to track it better using this. And it's also possible to be more privacy focused, which will be a focus now, considering the changes in the European law of data management about first-party data. So, sorry. What was the steps that we have to respect? First of all, is how do we share data? I talked a lot about how to track micro-conversions, how to track interactions with our website, how to track the audiences that are doing certain things. For example, if you have an e-commerce, it would be a good idea to create separate audiences, for example, about those who open mobile phones and those who are opening, for example, kitchenware. Those are two different audiences with two different interests and behavior, and it might be a good idea to have those audiences in place. It's also might be a good idea to have all the audiences who open your form and scroll down till the end of the website, read about you but didn't fill the form. It's a better user than that one who's the first time on your website. Having enough of those ones might help you to just get some sales with a very good price and a highly increased profitability. Assigning values. That's the main idea of our talk here. First of all, how do we assign values and how do we differentiate the users one between another? First of all is how do we optimize? In the system, if you remember, we were talking about ROAS. Here you have actually two options. First option, you can give to the system, I want €1 to bring me €5. That's a basic example. And the other one, I want the system to deliver me as much sales as possible. And which is also applicable in many cases, because in some setups, you just might not know at that point what's your ROAS. That's why you just can tell the system, look, bring me as much value of sales and that will be enough for me. Then, let's switch to bidding to the business outcomes. If you remember, I was telling you that if you track good enough, you can also track the profitability. By tracking the profitability, you can track a target return of those money. So in this case, you just tell him, okay, I want a target return. I want to invest $100, but I want to give not least to receive back not less than $500. That's the maximum that I'm ready to give. That will mean that your ads will take part only in auctions where the system might calculate a probability of sale, and it will more likely happen only if they bring you this value. I need some water because it's a lot of info that has to be processed, sorry. Okay, let's move forward. We talked about generating leads. I guess it's more interesting for a bigger part of the audiences. It's a different journey between generating leads and generating e-commerce sales, because first of all, it's a longer period of decision. In online sales, we have the moment from the product view, and then we move to purchase, and it usually might be a day, 2 days, 3 days. Sometimes it's 9 days. It all depends, but it's e-commerce. We also have those impulse buys that are happening. For example, in Black Friday, for example, before Christmas. By the way, I'm just curious, who bought presents for Christmas now using an e-commerce platform? The rest of you are buying offline. Okay, that's interesting. From my statistic that I have been reading about Moldova, it's 1/3 of the population are actually using their bank credit cards for buying online. So it's around 600,000 people which are actually actively buying in Moldova using e-commerce platforms. In my opinion, it's too much. It's not much. It's too little.
People might use the website
for browsing and then to go offline to buy. I know. I agree.
That's why conversion is too expensive to optimize by...
Yes, that's why it's important also to track offline value of the sales.
But even that, there are many of them who buy only offline, not without research. They just go and buy.
Yes, and they go to a certain place where they are sure that.
Here in Moldova is more expensive than in other countries.
Well, yeah, the cost of sales may be.
Because of sales,
Yeah,
because the leads is not equal to sales.
that's why the profit margins in Moldova are also very high if
Yes,
compared to other
and
markets.
If you have a e-commerce that or work for e-commerce that have a small margin, like I do, it's very very hard to work with. Even the CPA is very hard. That's why we need to work with CPC and to optimize bid by audience to know that we are getting the right traffic to make sales, because not every lead it's equal to sale. It's like 50 or to 60%.
50 to 60%.
Yes. People just call. We track. We have call record. People just call. Okay, and they never come.
But you also have the offline presence.
Yes, but it's like pickup point.
Pickup point. Okay.
They sell.
Everything.
Okay. What's
Smart.md.
Smart.md?
Smart. Okay. Well, in this case, have you tried also frameworks that are more focused on value and profits? Try to import?
Yes, for 4 years.
4 years.
Yes, but we have little margin. We give the best prices on the market. We try to do this.
Have you tried to differentiate? Well, I will stop actually.
So we have a little margin, so we cannot give a lot of money for conversion.
What about the lifetime value?
We just start to measure this like a year ago, but it's too early.
It's too early. Well, yeah, because you have a year. It depends. I saw in Romania the e-commerce is even broader, as you imagine, and I have been working with them, which the single conclusion where I came to which I came to, it was that eventually moving to the value and profitability oriented structures help them to gain more control actually on their profitability at the end. Because if you measure your profitability only in the CRM and your campaign structures is more about sales, is more about products that are more actually have higher stocks, it doesn't necessarily help you to deliver the sales volume that you want to achieve, the first of all, and to have control over the profitability. I'll be covering this shortly, even I'm having some examples of how to structure it, so I guess it will help you. In the lead to sale journeys, for finance, for example, the journey is longer. So it's 1 day between the info request, could be 5 days when the credit is being checked, then some other 2 weeks where the lead is being moved from sale qualified to a formal contract. So it could be more than 2 months actually, from the moment he interacted first of all with your online campaigns till the moment he made that purchase. It is important actually to have all those also imported back and the system to understand what brings the user from the first interaction to that part. I'm not saying that you have to optimize to each of them in the same campaign, if you have them, but it's very important to optimize to this and to track that. Usually it's made by importing offline conversions. Here, for example, we have some different examples of the lead to sale journey. I'm curious, does anybody track here the lead to sale journey from your businesses? Which makes sense, it's e-commerce and it's important because it's very important to understand what's the period between view content and viewing the product to the moment he has to cart. Yes. Do you use also some platforms for mass mailing just by profiling the user? Yes. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, you sound like a very ready and mature business here, according to your saying. Good. Then let's understand how can we prioritize some interactions. So let's say, for example, that we have a target of 500 closed deals per month. Then we know that there is a conversion rate actually of 25% from when it's sales qualified moving to a closed deal. Then we understand retroactively that actually we have a 50% conversion rate from marketing qualified to sales qualified. What does that mean is that those raw leads that are only by filling the form and after having campaigns, to that are filtered by sales departments, for example. And then we understand that there is a 5% conversion rate from those basic leads that are gathered from everywhere, from social media, from chats, from everything. Therefore, we can understand actually what's the volume of the lead that has to be delivered in order to achieve our sales goals. But it's very important to track every step just to understand the quality and the volume that has to be delivered. Good.
What is the day, the time between those?
This, it's
Days and days.
that's the time period from that's necessary for moving a lead to another phase. So, for example, if you fill the form, maybe there is a certain time lag between. There is a frequency of how often do you import, for example, the data. Is that data is moving, for example, to the department that is validating that the leads are qualitative. Then it's moved to sales qualified. The sales department has also needs some time to call all those leads and to validate them if they are qualitative or not. Okay, so that means that you have a delay of time from the moment he filled the form till the moment he becomes your customer, and it's important to understand this and to take this into account. Yeah.
How can you, in fact, see that this lead was entered first time, let's say, 2 weeks ago, now he is in this stage, and that stage he's making a sale or not? Because I think it's very easy to track. You can see a lot of people coming, you go to analytics, see that 80% are new users. What happens after that? How you are sure that these people are returning and they are doing something that you expect?
Good question. CRMs. Having a good CRM that will allow you to analyze the journey from the moment he filled the form till the moment you export it and import in the system. It could be having an offline import, like the basic one, or you just natively can connect your advertising platform with that CRM.
So in fact, the big effort is to bring leads, to get something from them, email, phone, or something that you can stick.
Yes.
And then you already use other tools to see that they are buying.
Yes. And that's important also to understand what's happening in between from the moment he filled the form till the moment he signed your contract. For example, when I was working here in Moldova, we had a bank as a client, yeah, and they had a sales goal a volume goal for leads for their loans. Good, but for me, in that phase was not enough to give them and set up the campaigns for them just to delivering some contract volumes. For me, it was important to understand what's the revenue that are they obtaining in 5 years or 10 years from those leads. It was not ideal because the formula is too complex, but for me, it was more important to have a consultative value. For example, to differentiate somebody who's taking a loan for €1,000 and for €5,000 and for €10,000. At that point, I started to import those leads and to import the logs that were left by the call centers to understand why the first problem was a low quality for those leads. And I was not understanding why was I bringing to them, why did I bring to them a lot of leads that are low quality. Then I requested from the call center to give me all the reasons that they have given as a refusal towards the clients who requested a loan. Then I started to understand that there is an issue with the minimal wage, an issue about credibility, about credit history, and they also had to, those three main reasons.
Before enough.
Yes. Then I understood that I have to add some friction. So I just put a toggle about the minimal wage, and it already filtered and improved the quality by 50%. Then I understood that...
Does the system know about the minimum wage?
No. The system doesn't know about the minimal wage. But the minimal wage was a problem in order to be accepted as a request to get a loan. Okay. So if the user, when he was filling the form, he also had to... Yeah.
So when you filter.
Yeah. So I initially started to filter using the reasons from the call center. That's why you needed a CRM. And that's why you also need to understand at what phase is your lead currently in order to have a better optimization of your campaigns. And also it's important to, again, for differentiating, because you might be having 500 closed deals, but it's also important to understand what's the value of those deals and what brings them to that certain value. what's happening in the sales.
How many you have lost
Yes,
on the way.
yes. And why? And why did you lose? Because you spent a lot of money on bringing them here. Okay, here are some lead journeys that are specific for different verticals. Might be helpful for you, but we won't be stopping here. That might be similar. I will also ask our partners to give you that PDF, so you'll have plenty of time to analyze it. So don't worry if you want to take pictures or something, you'll have it. For mortgages, as you see, there is a longer journey that it's pretty specific. And here is very interesting thing as well, is how to calculate retroactively and to assign static values here for each interaction, in order to differentiate the value that is bringing you to your business. So those are actually not real money. Those are money that help you to help the system to differentiate the interactions by their value. So you just can calculate retroactively, considering your conversion rates between every step. Am I understood here? Okay, perfect. It's also for the healthcare is actually the same. So just to wrap up, we just have to be able to import our conversions. We have to be able to articulate and to communicate to the system what volumes and what frequency we want to import all this data. This is highly important. And we want our campaigns to be aligned and our goals to be aligned with our business objective, not only with media objective. We were speaking about some lifetime, some consumer journeys that might take some longer time. So, for example, here we have a sales cycle that is 10 days. It's 10 days since the moment he made the decision till the moment he decided to buy from you. Here, we will optimize our campaigns only to close deal because we track it. We are very good with Google Analytics, with our tracking system. It's all perfect. But here, actually, we track phone calls, form submissions, and marketing or sales qualified leads. Why? Because we tell the system that in order to get here, he will also do those steps. But eventually, we optimize only for a closed deal. When we have a sales cycle that is 3 months, and by the way, if you are in a SaaS, I guess it's pretty common with this scenario. Maybe it won't be a good idea to optimize to a closed deal, just because they happen with a slower pace, they happen in a smaller number, and maybe we just want to optimize our campaigns only on sale qualified leads. So we want to optimize to a goal which is good enough and happening enough times for the system to understand that it actually might bring you very good value. Because a closed deal won't be happening so often. Let me put it like this. So in that case, you just have only one optimization goal that you actually use in your campaigns. And here you just track those interactions, just to feed the system and the machine learning with enough data to understand what brings you the value. Please.
So in this scenario too, as a business, as a SaaS business, you optimize for finding a customer that will appreciate your product rather than just make a sale.
It all depends on what's the sales cycle time period actually. There's no benchmark for this. It also depends on the statistical probability of of that sale to happen. It also depends on what's the volume of your sales. How often if you have, for example, 3 conversions per month, it will be not enough for a system to learn on it. If you have 500 conversions per month, it might be enough. So then you can optimize towards sales. But for example, if you have 50 closed deals and 500, it will be too much, 100, for example, sale qualified leads, it might be a better idea to optimize towards them, just because they almost bring to the final stage, but it didn't happen because the time frame is big. So it all depends. You just have to adapt according to your business. Good. Also, it could be a good idea to optimize on call conversions, because if you have call centers and you also can track it, especially it works with other markets, because unfortunately for Moldova, it's not possible to track using Google's numbers, but it's possible to have some extensions with phone calls that you also can track as conversion, which also might be bringing value to you as a business. Good. It's too hard?
No. You're just inspiring me on some new ideas.
Okay, that's very nice to hear, because I'm feeling that I'm bringing you a lot of information that could be a bit boring, but I hope that if you have the questions in place, just ask me. Maybe we'll switch to Romanian after that, and maybe just have it more personal after we have the ending, which is soon enough. Just to wrap up, I know that could be a challenge to have a lot of tracking in place, to know how to track it, to know Google Tag Manager, and to know how to do it. That's why sometimes it might be enough to use proxy values with some static ones, not dynamic. For example, I know that on average, users, as I told you, from Chisinau or on mobile phones, they bring me this amount of money. You can put it static just to differentiate from a user from another one. For example, users from Chisinau, users from Ialoveni, for example, or users that might be interested, for example, in one type of service that you provide versus another one. Well, you might not know the value that they might bring you, but you know that they have properties that are different between another. So here you can use proxy values. It's okay. Then dynamic values means that you have a good tracking in place and you import them. And then advanced dynamic values is that we discussed, predicted lifetime value. So we know that this user has a higher chance to buy 3 times during a year from me, because I know that it already happened. Or profit values is the same. Good. I won't be stopping a lot here, but just keep in mind that there is a possibility to track and to assign values based on the closed deal value and understanding what's the conversion rate between every step. This is how you can assign static values, actually, just based on what's the steps between and the evolution between your specific sales journey. Good. I guess it's pretty specific, and it's my dog. It's Klaus. Please don't be afraid.
Santa?
Santa. So he has a white beard and he delivers us a lot of joy. Don't be scared. He's also a consultant on how to be happy and to love animals. The implementation looks like this. It's a bit hard for those ones who are not in charge of setting those campaigns, but actually it's pretty simple if you maybe you work with an agency or a specialist. Do you want me to remain here? Okay. Here it's also the possibility to adjust the value. For example, you can correct some value that already happened, just because you know statistically that getting conversion from a city might be with a higher value. That's how it looks in the back end. You use Google Tag Manager, you use some code snippets. For those ones who are already setting those, it might be pretty familiar. For those who are not doing this, maybe you can request from your teams. But it's possible, it's straightforward, it's pretty easy to integrate, but it's necessary for a business to evolve. Here actually is how we can, you ask me about what's the offline conversion roadmap. It happens like this. You have an interaction, then you identify the user with a simple code called gclid. Then you import it in the CRM, then you upload it back in the system. And that's how you will know that your online investments are also bringing you offline revenues, if it's the case for your business. I'll give you that presentation, so don't worry about taking pictures. As also, it's possible to import it very simple using a simple Google Sheet, but your CRM has to. It's important that your CRM is allowing you to do this, so it's tracking the online interaction as well. Good. What about online sales? And we were talking about this. It's very important to have the right target, the right setup, and the right budget for this. That's why, for example, if you sell pens or mobile phones, you might have you might be put in 2 different scenarios. First of all, is that sorry, I just showed you actually the outcome. In the first scenario, you have a conversion rate of 5%, and you have a bid on 1. You want to bid for a sale with €1. But here, you know that with this particular pen model, you have a higher margin by 20%, and you have a lot of it, like, well, 10% more. Then might be you actually might consider to bid more, just because you know that you want to get rid of them because you have too much and Black Friday is ending soon, or Christmas. And also you have a higher margin that allows you actually to bid more because you have enough money for doing this. Why? Because you have different product categories. Therefore, those categories might have different profitabilities. So for example, I guess you have different profitability for mobile phones or for fridges.
Yes.
Yes. I assume that you have different campaigns for them with different targets.
Yes.
Okay. And you maybe have a higher margin for fridges than for mobile phones.
Yes.
Yes. Therefore, you have a higher ROAS that are targeting mobile phones. You are more aggressive towards, and less aggressive.
Is more competitive.
And it's also more competitive. Therefore, you can't allow yourself to spend too much on mobile phones advertising because it will be eating your profitability. Yes. That's the reality of the business, actually. So you can also compensate with your profit. Yes. Therefore, you have different structures that are covering different profitabilities, and it's highly important to do this. So you don't put your all categories in one place. It's also applicable for lead gen, actually, if you have different services in the same business. So the key point here is to structure according to your profitability, not according to your subjective assumptions. That users are more interested in this. Well, no, check the market, check the dynamics, check how do they behave regarding your products and how do they search. Well, in our case, we have higher ROAS and lower ROAS. That's the most basic. We can go more advanced, and we can also put some custom labels and just to differentiate them. This is high margin shoes. We have more stock, we have less stock. Also, we can differentiate, combine those labels all inside just to differentiate better the products between them and the categories. Then you'll have this structure of, well, here I'm ready to give the target that I want to have back €2 for every euro that I invest. Here I want to have a more aggressive and a more ambitious, and I want €4 for each euro that was invested, and so on. But it's very important to define and structure your campaigns according to what do you expect from them and where is the profitability. It might sound obvious, but I'm seeing this only in 1/3 of advertisers with whom I have interacted in the last 3 years. So there is a lot of headroom of improvement actually in front of us. And by the way, I will repeat myself, but it's important to measure the checkout process, and you have this in place. If you don't start to do this, the product list is also important, because if you have enough audiences that are tracking how do those audiences track the product interactions, we can picture and cluster all those audiences to those ones who have higher probability of buying, for example, or who are more interested in some sales, or who are waiting for some sales to happen during the year. Good. I won't be stopping here. And here also I have covered this. Another interesting things. In Moldova, we don't have, we are unable to track offline store visits, but it's possible to track, for example, store locations or navigations toward the store. We can also track calls towards the store numbers, which I highly recommend to do if you have online places. And we can consider it a micro conversion, but it also can improve the system, because now, for example, if we are searching for an omnichannel retailer that sells you, for example, like Smart or Darwin or Maximum, you search for the product, also you search for the offline place where you can go and track it. But you had the ad that brought the user towards that product.
Not really.
Why?
Because nobody is bidding on us, we bid on our brand. Nobody is bidding on Smart.md. It's
yes.
too expensive now.
It's too expensive.
So we bid on other brands, but it's too expensive now to bid on other brands if it's not your brand.
Okay.
So if nobody bids on you, why you should bid on your brand? So you just organically. Yeah.
It makes sense, but for example, if you have multiple locations across all the city, it could have sense, for example, at least to optimize or track the driving directions, which happens on Google Maps.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you can track on Google Maps how many people
clicked on the button on how to get to your
direction.
Yes. It's also applicable with the restaurant business, which might be interesting for you.
Yeah, but we don't have a physical location.
I know, but no, your clients might have. So maybe you can have some workarounds, please.
Gabriel, previous training told us that they have some sensors in their offline stores to
Mhm.
check the. So we said in Moldova there aren't. We should implement in physical stores.
No, it's possible to have some third-party trackers that are counting the visitors, but it can be it can be related so easy with your online interactions. That's the problem.
Not every visitor have clicked on your.
Yes. Good. Another interesting key takeaways from here. The dynamic values, as I explained you, are those values that are calculated by using some IT efforts and using some proper tracking in Google Analytics, Firebase, or whatever other types of tracking. But they are made automatically just because your website is sending towards your advertising systems all the values. So please take it in mind, keep it in mind, and try to track it even if it's a lead generation business. It's very important. Good. Also, it's very important to understand what's the micro conversions and what are the key steps that are bringing the user towards the final sale. It is very important to map that journey and to understand where is the case to proper optimize. And now, for example, let's have a short exercise. Let's say we are in e-commerce business and we have a Black Friday campaign, okay? But the only thing that we want to communicate is that we have a 60% sale for everything, and it's launched 3 weeks before Black Friday. What do you think? What goal would you choose as an optimization goal? Purchase, view content, or add to cart? Add to cart. Why view content?
You advertise three weeks before.
Yes.
Friday?
Yes.
Why I should buy from you now if after 3 weeks you have?
Yes.
Friday?
Okay.
Probably they will wait for the Black Friday
Maybe,
to see
maybe
the
to wish list.
competition.
And maybe add to wish list. Good idea.
I'm doing like that, literally, because I'm always trying to buy something on sale. This is why I'm adding
Yeah.
to cart, and I'm hoping to find a great sale, especially that I buy a lot of things from ASOS, if you know.
Yes.
Online shop. It's my favorite way to
Yes,
go
but
and-
a lot of shops at the time of Black Friday empty your cart, so you cannot track the product, but not empty your wish list.
Yes,
yeah,
I agree.
at least.
That's why you tell that you're also praying that they.
It's not praying because like ASOS have every 1 to 2 weeks. Literally, it is necessary to wait to find this.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about the mic, but the next questions will be with the mic. So sorry for that. Good idea. And also, it's about the cookies. So sometimes some websites or even your browser might reset the cookies. So if you have a lot of efforts to put them in the cart, you just pray also not to be your cookies to be erased. So wish list might be a very good idea.
Yeah, it's wish list. It's not
Yeah.
cart. Yeah.
But there is a problem with the
What?
wish list. They also change price.
Please.
There is a problem with the wish list. They also change prices in the for the products that are in your wish list, and you cannot really track if the price changes before Black Friday or not.
You
You
cannot,
need-
but they can announce you. They
Yes.
can tell you your favorite product is lower price now.
Yeah, but it could be higher as well.
Yeah.
Not just
They
lower.
don't
Yes.
announce you in this way.
They don't.
No, they don't.
No, you just increase.
Even Amazon
agree.
is doing that trick. I sometimes do screenshots to make sure that everything is how I expect.
Well,
so.
I know the specifics, and sometimes it really happens that some advertisers or brands are displaying some prices which are changed eventually, which I hope it will end at some point.
I want to say something interesting in ASOS because I like this. And they
Please.
They have a great statistics. Literally, if you buy something, if you would like to buy something, they have below the price, the best price, what was in the last 30 days. Literally, like the
Yeah.
best price, like for this period of time, 30 days, what it was.
It's the same in Romania. They have the sellers have been obliged to display the lowest price in 30 days and to maintain it. So that's why it's not even possible to tackle the prices
Yeah.
before Black Friday or in Black Friday.
Yes, I think this strategy I didn't saw somewhere else. This is why I wanted to say to you, maybe someone will find it
But
great.
That's good, that's really good to know, and thank you for that. And yes, my point, and why did I ask you the question on how do we optimize? In this case, we won't be optimizing on sales because we don't want users to come to our website now and to buy now. We want them to buy on Black Friday, and we have a sale. It will be, and it's a teasing campaign. We will like them to come here to see the product, to assess their needs, to understand do they need this washing machine, and then to buy on Black Friday. And here we'll optimize on view content, which is lower than a sale. If you have a campaign that is more focused on sales, for example, now we have a lot of stocks of a product, then we will optimize on purchase. It is the same about, for example, we launched a new service and we are not sure if it's good enough to be displayed, or we want some testing ground for a certain bunch of users. Maybe we just want them to initially to understand what services and to read our brochure or product. Maybe we want some chats or discussions with them, and then after understanding that we have a good product, we'll just be moving to form complete or to a sale. So that's very important. Here's some calculation models, by the way, it might be useful for you, on how to calculate the value of a call, for example. So if you know that there is in store you have sales from a certain value and have a certain number of calls, and you know the conversion rate, you can also calculate and import the value of a call. It's also possible to attribute some values right in the system. It is also possible to calculate a store visit value. Everything is possible to be calculated and to be imported in the system where you optimize, just for being sure that you optimize towards some values of an action, not for a quantity of an action. Good. What about bidding to a business outcome? I guess we just might be focusing more on questions and answers either than the content, because I will send, or XY partners will be sending the presentation to you. The main point here is moving to value-based bidding strategies. And the second point is a lot of current advertising campaign models are based on machine learning on AI. What did we understand is that there is no good performance if it's only AI or automatized process only. And actually there is no performance when it's only human input. Let's say the manual CPC, and we try to control everything and to make it very manual and just to pull some levers and that's it. The perfect setup is when it works in synergy and it's both human and automation input. Here we just understood that a 35 performance increase when it was together with human and AI products. And we have lots of them, and actually including Google. We have performance max campaigns that are based mostly on automation and on AI. And I'm curious, did somebody from here set up performance max campaigns for lead gen?
Yes, but they are not so relevant without
shopping. I know. Therefore, for Moldova, they are more relevant for lead generation or. I know that we miss shopping here, and let's stay positive. There are some steps that are happening that might be helping us to also achieve those products to be available here. Good. I have shown you this, so I guess I won't be stopping here. But margin values might be a good, for example, idea for you. Margin values might be a good idea, for example, if you have your services is an aggregator where you have some revenue that is actually not yours, but you have some commission that is put on top. Here, importing for lead gen, importing the profitability and over the value might be also a good idea, because you communicate to the system what is actually your revenue, which is actually the profit from that equation. Good. What else is interesting I wanted to show you is some other formulas that might help you to calculate the values, which doesn't make sense to run through them now, but we have different business models that actually might be actual for you, so it might be helpful for your businesses. So you can take some pics. You can also ask me if you want me to clarify. but I really hope that might be useful for you. If it's not about tracking, it's at least about using your tracking with some internal sheets or some internal statistics that you might use when calculating your campaign success. I guess that would be it, because I feel that we went too technical here, and we might have some better and qualitative discussions about case by case. So I'm very open if you have some questions and you want to address them. And I'm not sure if we still have. Let's see. Do we still have to continue the questions in Romanian or English?
Either way.
Either way. Okay. Good. I guess that's it. The last key takeaway actually from here, it was a very good example of the lead scoring, is that I saw a lot of companies that are using some custom questionnaires before submitting the lead, just to provide and attribute some potential lead value and to differentiate them before signing the contract. Because, for example, you might get higher profits from a company that has from 11 to 12 employees, for example, and it has from 6 to 24 months in business. Or knowing that this business is a startup who has already obtained the fundings from the investors, and they are not so strict with their marketing investments, which would mean that might be more profitable than an old business who's 3 to 5 years and is more strict with their marketing investments and has very aggressive targets. That's why you might consider to have those types of pre-sale filters, just to understand how to differentiate them. Also might be applicable for your restaurant business, just understanding that, well, for yourself and for your profitability, it might be more interesting to work with restaurants who have at least 2 locations in the city, because they might be more eager to automatize their processes if compared with a small coffee place.
For rating the leads, right?
Yes, for rating the leads. That's called the lead scoring. And it's very important to have this as well. I know I told you a lot of technical things. I know that a part of them might be not complicated, but specific. But if everybody from here will go back with some actionables, which I'm sure that we have that case here, it will just help you to have better understandings of what are your customers bringing to your business, how do you structure your campaigns, and what do you expect from them? Do you expect quantity or do you expect quality? If you expect quality, how can you track that value? If it's complicated, ask a specialist. If it's too hard, ask another one. But there is a solution for every problem and for every case. And even if your business is something new and something very specific, there could be a proxy for this. So try to understand and use your best knowledge and to increase your digital maturity in a such way that will just help you to drive growth maybe a bit differently, just to find some new angles. And by the way, there are a lot of tools. Even we have Google Trends, which is available and is free for Moldova. There you can test some assumption on how your product or your service is searched locally. And the most important, for example, for SmartMD, it will also help you to understand what are some seasonal patterns. Yeah. For example,
We have no seasons, only Christmas.
Easter,
Not really.
but depends on the product.
Yes, Easter is more like element, food.
Yes, and everything that is related with cookware.
Yes, but we don't sell that much.
I know, but for bigger retailers, from your competition, it makes sense.
There is a pattern like back to school.
Back to school, yes.
Christmas.
Vacation season.
Yeah.
It all depends. For example, if you are Farmacia Felicia, you just might have very strong seasonality with the suntan and filters or sunglasses, for example. I was working with Lensa when I was in Romania, and I was clear in understanding what's their seasonalities, which is one closer to the holiday season, and the second one would be closer to Black Friday, because people tend to buy glasses in November just because it's Black Friday and it's way cheaper. So it's very important to understand why your customer is searching for you, what actions does he do on your website, and what's his sales journey, how do you track this journey, how do you import this information, and how do you structure according to to your business goals? And how well do you translate your business language in your marketing language? And this is the gap that has to be filled by very good specialists and by people who understand partially the business and partially they understand the marketing. And it's very hard to find such types of specialists, I know. But you also might train yourself or to try to find the proper wording for this, just to articulate your needs and to expect that if you planted apples, you just expect apples. And that's the most important insight that I understood in one of the most important insights that I have understood. So, thank you for your attention. I will be more than happy to answer your questions. But tell me, please, it's mandatory to have the questions in Romanian, in English? English. Okay, good, perfect. Please just send the mic to everybody who wants to have questions, if any. Curaj.
Dacă putem în română,
Da,
fi
da.
foarte fain. Eu sunt persoana care mie îmi place foarte mult structură și dacă sunt careva modele care poate să structureze marketingul.
Care să structureze marketingul?
Da.
Uite, modele în sine nu există. Există framework-uri care te ajută să mai grupezi și să mergi într-o anumită direcție. Cred că noi cu tine încă mâine să mai vorbim încă pe subiectul ăsta, pentru că avem... Dar dacă vă amintiți partea asta cu funnel-ul, eu o să fac mult scroll și între timp am să povestesc, tu trebuie să te uiți în setup-urile tale de campanie și să te asiguri că tu, pentru fiecare dintre etapele astea, ai undeva în oricare dintre platforme, ai asigurat ceva. De exemplu, dacă tu folosești social media pentru ca să faci parte de awareness și consideration, atunci tu undeva ar trebui să răspunzi la căutare. Spre exemplu, tu dacă ai un produs și în cazul tău asta e învățarea limbii engleză prin științe aplicate, probabil conceptul ăsta încă nu neapărat există și așa de foarte bine cerut pe piață. Tu începi să o educi. Respectiv, la un moment dat, din faza asta, o să înceapă să apară utilizatori care o să înceapă să caute brandul tău sau serviciul tău, pentru că tu câte un pic ai depus un efort de a educa piața. Și atunci tu trebuie să te asiguri că tu, prin eforturile tale de advertoriale, social media, campanii care de obicei pe vizual și pe exemple practice, eventual ai să poți să răspunzi la căutările care să le generezi tu. Respectiv, tu trebuie să ai câte o activitate, două pentru fiecare dintre etape din funnel. Dar să nu înseamnă că există undeva un Excel sau un tabel de cum tu să le faci. Doar să te asiguri că tu ai audiențele necesare aici, tracking-ul necesar aici. Tu înțelegi că cineva ar putea să cumpere un curs de long term și cineva de short term. Care portretul audienței este? Și atunci, pentru fiecare dintre etape, tu trebuie să ai câte o activitate pornită undeva. Nu numai neapărat Google, poate fi orice dintre platforme de social media sau așa mai departe. Și inclusiv să te gândești organic cum poți să răspunzi la întrebarea asta, ca să nu depinzi foarte mult de paid. Te rog, stai să vină microfonul.
O întrebare care nu știu cât de clar o să fie, cum o să o dau, dar iată, când faci campanii plătite de publicitate, poți foarte ușor să pierzi foarte mulți bani, pentru că, unu, nu știi cum, a doi, targetezi pe chestii care probabil nu așa ar trebui să fie, nu tot timpul ai un specialist care poate să sfătuiască. Dacă ai putea să ne zici care ar fi instrumentele care ne-ar trebui să le învățăm bine înainte de a ne apuca de așa ceva și care ar fi instrumentele care ne-ar ajuta să monitorizăm ceea ce facem, pentru că nu tot timpul ai un CRM care poate să trăcuiască userii, să vezi tot procesul. Putem să apelăm, nu știu, la Google Sheets sau poate să niște instrumente gata făcute pentru asta, care se poate de cumpărat un subscription și de utilizat, ca să nu nimerești în situația când ai făcut o greșeală și nu mai vrei sau investești mulți bani și nu vezi rezultat.
Mă rog, iarăși e foarte specifică întrebarea și diferă foarte mult de la business la business. Dacă noi ne bazăm, dacă poți să definești măcar din ce tip de verticală sau din ce tip de industrie business-ul tău, poate aș putea să fie mai specific.
Nu știu dacă acum pot spune ceva anume despre business-ul meu, pot spune de domeniul în care eu activez. Noi cumva avem un produs online. marketul nostru este foarte specific, e foarte greu de ajuns la el și e greu de înțeles dacă publicitatea asta sau activitatea ta pe online duce la rezultat care tu l-aștepți. Chiar vorbim de development aid, cum
Am înțeles,
zis, da?
am înțeles.
Cum se face corect ca să reușești?
Cred că unul dintre pașii importanți este să înțelegi, și am să mă repet probabil că am multă oară, fapt pentru care îmi cer scuze, dar chiar e vorba de tracking și de a înțelege ce au adus acțiunile tale prin setarea de campanii. Și dacă mă întreb acum ce instrumente ar trebui să le știi, iarăși e specific. De exemplu, dacă e un serviciu de B2B, probabil că în B2B e foarte mult lucru în a răspunde corespunzător la niște cerințe, la niște căutări. Pentru că în B2B se investește foarte mult în branding și doar mergând pe assumption că asta ar putea să fie interesant la un spectru larg de business, mai ales dacă tu ai servicii de nișă, e complicat și chiar e cheltuială mare de bani. Atunci treci pe următoarea fază. El deja caută serviciul tău și nu neapărat îl asociază cu brandul tău, dar deja știi că are nevoie de un așa tip de serviciu de nișă. Atunci tu trebuie să fii foarte creativ în cum să apare acolo. Pentru că e o necesitate deja formată, el deja s-a trezit de dimineață cu gândul că are nevoie de asta. Poate ciclul de decizii e destul de lung, dar e foarte important tu să fii în fiecare dintre etapa lui de assessment. Și mai departe e foarte important tu unde îl duci și crezi tu ca experiență. E suficient de bun site-ul tău, transmite foarte bine și clar mesajul, îi dă lui ocazia ca să te înțeleagă fără ca să ne aibă nevoie de interacțiuni suplimentare. Dar dacă ele se întâmplă, lui e ușor să contacteze cu tine, după care fiecare din etapele astea trebuie să le trăcuiești. Să-ți dai seama că din momentul când el a discutat cu un consultant până în momentul când el face o decizie, care nu uităm că e de business, care de obicei poate nu e numai un singur stakeholder care răspunde decizia asta, dar mai este și un consiliu de approval, atunci trebuie să înțelegi lucrurile astea. Câte contacte se întâmplă cu el între timp, cum îi faci follow-up. Și că lucrurile astea se numesc procese, care tu le faci și le respecti până când ajungi ca asta să fie un lead calitativ și deja un contract semnat. Și astea poți să le tracuiești cum vrei, adică poți să le tracuiești simplu într-un Google Sheet și să le lași loguri de cum ai contactat, sau să ai un CRM care nu neapărat trebuie să fie foarte scump, că sunt foarte multe soluții care la sume destul de modice, dar te ajută ca să faci un tracking bun.
Poți recomanda de CRM, dacă vreți gratuit, este Trello CRM, puteți utiliza. El e foarte fain, se automatizează. Eu, de exemplu, utilizez Trello și trebuie de contact cu cineva să înregistrează, el automat să dau un CRM. Și mai poți face automatizare cu Zapier, că el se transmite, de exemplu, și încă e-mail. Și a doilea, fain, care mi-a place și am testat, e am o CRM. Tu acolo poți automatizezi chiar când să faci switch de la funnel la funnel. Și acolo, practic, ai absolut toate SMM-urile, adică tot social media. Poți să inclus chiar și inclusiv Telegram și Viber. Am o CRM sau cum o CRM, asta e fix aceeași. Nu mai pun în engleză, dar una în rus.
Da, care le-am auzit că sunt populare.
Am și o întrebare.
Care e subscription-ul de la AMO?
La AMO e $20 pentru o persoană. Dar cât mai multe persoane sunt, atât mai e scump.
Și AMO e și la Trello sau totuși?
Trello este gratuit. Poți să utilizezi gratuit. Dar, pur și simplu, acolo trebuie să faci automatizare. De exemplu, eu am Pitida și acolo poți să faci automatizare, că, de exemplu, să transfere lead-ul deodată în bordul care tu ai nevoie să faci.
Nu de ce să rămâi la AMO? Dacă totuși o soluție așa mai...
AMO?
Da, la AMO.
Pentru că acolo ai practic tot împreună. Acolo e și social media, adică toate mesajele de Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, Viber, Trello, toate cu social media și tu poți să tracuiești absolut fiecare client.
Știi că folosești ambele?
Nu, eu acum folosesc Trello pentru că e gratuit, dar am folosit anterior AMO și consider cel mai fain.
Folosesc mai bine AMO deodată, fiindcă aveți integrările necesare deodată acolo. Integrările și de import și de export.
Da, și prelucrarea de lead-uri. Adică nu vreau să fac publicitate specială pentru AMO, dar orice CRM care are o integrare și îți poate face o agregare de lead-uri, de intake, de comunicare cu clienții, e o idee foarte bună, oricare ar fi ea. Pentru că așa îți dai seama că tu te investești în mai multe platforme în paralel și e păcat când pentru dești mai strecoară lead-uri care ar putea să fie calitative. Valeriu? Scuze. Referral, te împarți cu noi, da? Adică după ce... Da.
De la până la port la port,
da.
Automat când merge. Și încă mai este ce merge acolo, că poți să asculti audio. Adică, de exemplu, dacă persoana, tu poți acolo de acolo să telefonezi și tu poți asculti ce persoana a vorbit. Asta e
Da, dacă ai departament de vânzări sau măcar o persoană care se ocupă cu prelucrarea lead-urilor.
Și merge și task tracking. Adică tu,
De acord. Și aici, apropo, e foarte important, că dacă noi până acum spunem că e important journey-ul userului și cum el interacționează cu un site, cât e de bun design-ul, cât de repede se încarcă, într-adevăr, dacă tu ai tot frumos pe partea de front-end, dar în spate call centru tău se comportă dubios, probabil că chiar îți poate mânca foarte mult din lead-urile calitative și din business.
Să înțelegi din funnel mai departe, dacă au intrat lead-uri
Da. Dar înțelegi din funnel dacă tu îl urmărești, apropo. Știi, da, pentru că dacă tu nu ai un tracking dintre momentul completării formularului și final, tu nu înțelegi că la call center poate fi o problemă. Sau poate fi o problemă că la tine nu lucrează formularul ca tare și nu se transmit datele în server și numai unul dintre ei se duc, știi? Sau chestii genul ăsta. De asta e important tracking-ul. Valeriu, te rog.
Acum eu am să dau totuși întrebarea, da? Ideea mea este următoarea. Despre Google înțeleg că are foarte multe instrumente pe care ar trebui să le învățăm pentru a putea corect seta o campanie, da? Întrebarea mea este următoarea. Având în vedere că sunt atâtea instrumente de inteligență artificială, nu este vreun instrument oarecare unde noi dăm răspuns la niște întrebări și automat, în concluzie, noi obținem ce trebuie să facem, care instrument să-l aplicăm și ce pași trebuie să urmăm ca să construim o campanie corectă sau poate nici nu avem nevoie de campanie.
Hai așa.
Teoretic, ar trebui să fie, cum vorbim noi de funnel.
Da.
Ai 3 întrebări. Care e business-ul tău? 1, 2, 3. Aici stă. Care pași? Care sunt așteptările? Și adică prin răspunsuri la întrebări, tu automat obții o concluzie corectă. Care pași trebuie să le faci tu ca business-ul tău să aibă succes? Fără ca să înveți mult timp toate instrumentele. Că eu îmi dau seama că nu toți pot să se implice așa de adânc în studierea instrumentelor Google sau altor instrumente.
Da.
Sunt așa instrumente? Întrebarea mea.
Aproape. Precum dacă eu aș întreba, sunt instrumente care m-au învățat pe mine că să pot face un smart home sau să înțeleg foarte bine cum funcționează un circuit închis. Ele sunt. Dacă mă fac pe mine asta neapărat specialist bun dacă eu înțeleg cum ele funcționează, nu, pentru că n-am parte de hands-on și nu înțeleg foarte bine cauza-efect. Că n-am trecut și de mult practică prin mine. Acum, dacă e vorba de a înțelege pur strategic și helicopter view să ai pe campaniile tale, și ești tu ca fondator de business pentru tine e suficient. Tu nu trebuie ca fondator de business să fii ONG peste tot și să ai specialist și de marketing. Atunci, pentru tine o să fie suficient de ok dacă ai să înțelegi ce platformă aduce ce tip de rezultat. Asta o să fie more than enough. Și cum să urmărești niște statistici, care iarăși pentru tine e important ca business owner. Iar partea de hands-on și de setup și de tracking și de tot, probabil că e indicat să iei o persoană care chiar e specializat pe asta. La fel cum faci tu, când devii tu consultat pentru cineva care vrea automatizare, știi, de exemplu, casă. Și atunci business-ul există prin faptul că tu primești revenue și el. Ca și soluție, ca să dai niște consultanți strategic, poți, de exemplu, să folosești modele lingvistice care sunt actuale, inclusiv recomand BARD de la Google, bard.google.com, în care tu chiar poți să-l întrebi, să spui ce tip de specific de business ai și poți primi poate niște idei bune de acolo, ținând cont că ar putea să dai recomandări de ce tip de campanii, poți să creezi nucleul semantic de cuvinte cheie, poate să te ajute cu crearea anunțurilor, de exemplu. Dar oricum o să presupună ceva.
Întrebarea mea a fost în contextul nu a specialiștilor mari. Evident, tu dacă ești aprofundat, ai un level foarte înalt de profesionalism în setări campanii. Eu vorbesc în general de omul care el idee nu are și să fie măcar un tool care cumva să-ți ofere măcar o posibilitate să ai o șansă. Spunem așa, cum am vorbit, decât să nu faci nimic, mai bine să faci ceva mai rău, dar să faci.
Păi,
și care instrument noi îl putem aplica sau ele nu sunt?
Scuze, în Google Ads de fapt există destul de mult, câteva tipuri de campanii care sunt destul de ușor straightforward de setat. Adică mereu există hinturi care pot să te ducă pe tine ca să setezi de la până la, poate nu ideal. Pentru un minim necesar de setare tu poți să setezi și o bună parte din ele deja sunt automatizate. Adică tu trebuie să încarci imagini, trebuie să faci niște texte acolo, într-adevăr, trebuie să setezi un obiectiv. Asta nu neapărat presupune faptul că tu trebuie să fii programator. Adică chiar poți să fii suficient. Dar probabil că asta nu o să fie suficient de avansat ca să atingem și povestea mea aici. Tracking de valori, de business, de profitabilitate. Dar ar putea să fie suficient ca tu să apari și ca răspuns la motoare, nu știu, la căutări.
Da, dar întrebarea era un pic alta. Deci întrebarea era despre strategie pe care ar trebui să o ia.
Da.
Ca necunoscând nimic, nu era neapărat despre Google.
Da, da, da.
Construcție de casă putea să fie, nu știu, colaborări cu agențiile de imobiliare care poate să-l promovezi în cazul în care, nu știu, au vândut o bucată de pământ. Da? Și respectiv asta ar putea să fie strategie. Întrebarea era dacă există
un tool magic în care tu să dai niște input-uri.
Dar probabil eu presupun că există, fiindcă știu sigur că sunt specialiști care îți fac propriul tool de AI, respectiv după anumite criterii poate să răspund la anumite întrebări. Însă nu știu dacă ar putea să răspund la orice nișă.
Da. Iarăși, eu cred că într-un setup de language model și de AI, tu chiar poți să întrebi acolo, BARD, ChatGPT, whatever, adică sunt destul de multe în care tu poți da, dacă îți formulezi clar întrebările și dai contextul tău de business, povestești ce ești tu și ce așteptări ai, tu de acolo poți obține niște inputuri mai de strategie, chiar poți. Ca mai departe tu să începi a fructifica informația asta. Adică sigur că există. Dar
ca răspuns eu am acum așa, BARD, ChatGPT
și alte soluții care, nu știu, personal nu mai folosesc alte LLM-uri, dar sunt.
Până când ne adresăm la sistemele și hinturile care...
Și combinat cu expertiza umană încă. După cum ți minte și un pic mai devreme, am arătat că este parte de human input care e important și parte de AI. Adică ele împreună lucrează foarte bine în etapa asta.
Ei că toate o să dea inițial același răspuns. Că încearcă asta și o listă și de 10 bucăți.
Da.
Și după care trebuie să înțelegi mai departe într-adevăr să stai în ele sau nu. Și mai departe începi să-i povestești. Uite, la mine asta nu o să meargă. La mine asta nu o să... Și îți dau ție detalii despre ce am eu.
De acord. Nu, panaceu nu există încă și nu există, adică eu tot tare aștept momentul ăsta de Jarvis, știi, din Iron Man, știi, când tu delegi prin comenzi vocale unui sistem care face și operațiuni.
Cred că asta ar fi posibil, numai că e nișat. Știu că sunt specialiști care își fac propriul AI, da? Propriul GPT, care ia în considerație toate direcțiile care ar putea să fie într-o nișă și în funcție de elementele pe care le dai tu, el ți-i dă răspunsul strategic mai departe. Adică, nu știu, în cazul caselor și specializat în imobiliar, el știe toate detaliile, da? Și unul de sus poate să dea GPT-ul la toată lumea care ar putea...
De acord. Inclusiv de la cloud este un language model Vertex pe care tu îl poți antrena pe bază de și dai tu ca input din business-ul tău, inclusiv din store. Să-ți facă asta și tu mai departe poți purta sub formă de conversație și să-l interoghezi pe proprietățile produselor tale sau el să-i dea input sub formă de conversație. Asta e. Dar tot presupune ceva lucru pe partea de setup.
Eu am o întrebare nu atât tehnică, cât mai mult experiență.
Te rog.
Din experiența ta. Noi cred că majoritatea suntem startup-uri care calculăm fiecare ban și eu vreau să întreb, iată, are sens noi să începem singuri, să setăm campanii cumva, să studiem momentele astea și să încercăm singuri sau totuși să investim bani într-o agenție sau în specialiști care sunt mai specializați. Adică, cum am mai spus inițial, bugetul este foarte, foarte limitat. Iată, din experiență, totuși, să merită singuri să încercăm sau mai bine deodată să investim într-o agenție care mai rapid ar putea să ne aducă rezultat?
E specific și dacă există ceva care voi nu o să puteți niciodată să recuperați, asta e timpul, până când voi să înțelegeți că aveți nevoie de cineva sau până să vă dați seama că, de fapt, dacă ne-am fi antrenat un pic mai rapid, am fi făcut-o mai bine. Și foarte mult o să depindă de necesitățile voastre ca business, pentru că dacă voi vreți niște lucruri care țin de un setup basic, să spunem că o parte de social media, o parte de organic, voi sunteți foarte intuitivi, poate ar putea să fie suficient. Dar dacă la voi business-ul crește și vreți să vă scalați destul de rapid și vreți să ajungeți la niște rezultate mult mai rapid, probabil că partea asta de timp voi nu o să puteți niciodată să o recuperați. Și poate ar putea să întâmple și niște investiții care nu s-au întâmplat chiar, nu au lovit chiar unde trebuie. Și în cazul ăsta, poate ar fi o idee mai bună voi inițial să vă luați o echipă de specialiști sau cineva care să vă consulte, să vă explice, să achitați accordingly și să vă gândiți cum să acoperiți cheltuielile astea prin niște extra vânzări care să le obțineți apropo tot datorită performanței care să o obțineți. Și atunci voi să fiți mult mai rapid profitabili, inclusiv având echipa asta. Dacă o să vreți să vă ocupați voi de chestia asta mai departe, voi puteți să rugați să vă antreneze și să vă explice. Dar nu de fiecare dată este foarte adecvat și ok și productiv ca tot voi, ca business owner, ca fondatori, care răspundeți de clienți, de vânzări, de predare de cursuri și așa mai departe, să fiți responsabili și de setup-ul de campanii. Ar putea un pic să vă denatureze viziunea asupra business-ului și unde voi chiar trebuie să vă focusați energia. Asta e problema de bază care o observ foarte des. Un director și un C-level, el are o poziție demnă într-o companie în care el trebuie să gestioneze business-ul, să dea exemplu apropo de conduită și să dea direcții foarte clare către angajații lui și să aibă foarte bine grijă ca business-ul să prospere. Eventual să achizi salarii la timp și să te extinzi așa cum vrei tu. Dar dacă tu devii și marketolog, devii și vânzător, șofer și designer, probabil că aici undeva e o problemă de identitate. Știi? Și aici poate nu... Înțeleg. Dar delegarea tot e un skill până la urmă, știi? Da, și care se dezvoltă ca un mușchi. Și atunci...
Bine bugetul tău de învățare.
Da.
Dacă ai suficient buget ca să faci greșeli...
Și timp.
Poți să începi. Dar nu e de mare și nu e despre clicuri, de fapt.
Dar eu aș compensa cheltuielile care le aveți cu specialiști prin randamentul care îl dă o structură de marketing care dă rezultate bune. Și atunci voi mai degrabă că acoperiți cheltuielile astea cu vânzare în plus. Sau două. Da. Inclusiv și asta.
În așa situație ar trebui și noi să ne echipăm cu specialiștii din profit.
Procent din profit.
Pentru că dacă inițial tu intri în dansul ăsta, tu idei nu ai de
cum
setezi campaniile astea, tu într-un fel ai suma de bani, nu știu, investesc X euro, rezultatul e înmulțit la 10 euro, da? Dar tu dai un sac de bani la o echipă care într-un final poate să nu-ți aducă randamentul ăsta și că aici apare ideea.
Da. Inițial, dacă vrei să-l motivezi pe el din profit, trebuie să suni și posibilitatea că tu poți să nu ai o conversie foarte bună pe site. Și în momentul în care el cât de mult nu s-ar zbate de la tine ofertă proastă.
Păi din start, de asta eu își spun, oferta când vine, dacă te înțelegi la preț, într-un fel ca startup, da? Irina a spus corect că toți la început nu avem bani și încercăm cumva să acoperim niște găuri folosind abilitățile proprii. La un moment dat, da, noi ne dăm seama, noi vrem să câștigăm timp și noi vrem să gestionăm altfel și să delegăm unele momente. Noi suntem dispuși să investim, dar unde, nu știu, cum calculăm noi calitatea serviciului pe care îl obținem?
Prin calitatea...
De ce nu ne spune că, uitați, noi v-am adus lead-uri, da, adică companiile tare des ei spun, stați o leacă, noi nu vă facem vouă vânzări. Adică noi vă aducem awareness, dar de obicei companiile de marketing nu-și iau așa responsabilitate de vânzări.
Nu știu ce calitate de produs.
Exact, de asta când Valeriu spunea de procent, adică...
bani costă serviciul tău ca eu să am rezultatul X.
În general, comunicarea e destul de complicată.
De acord să intră în bătălie împreună cu mine, respectiv ei își vor câștiga mai mult.
Stați că mă conectez eu acum un pic aici.
E experiență.
Asta eu vreau să dau din experiență.
Eu sunt cazul dat.
Cred că pot să vă dau un răspuns. Ideea că ca o barcă să nu are nevoie de două vâsle. O vâslă sunteți voi cu inputul vostru de business și cealaltă e parte de specialiști și de agenții de marketing, whatever, sau specialist, nu contează. Acum, dacă noi o să începem să ne aruncăm unul în altul, că tu o să mă întrebi unde sunt vânzările, dar eu o să întreb, dar unde sunt îmbunătățirile față de site. De exemplu, că site-ul tău e vechi și se încarcă foarte greu. Dar tu o să-mi spui, eu nu pot să investesc în site din cauza că n-am vânzări, care tu nu mi le aduci. Și noi... Da? Da. Și eu să chiți să... Și noi intrăm...
Noi avem o sumă de bani care suntem gata să investim.
Sunt de acord. Și aici noi intrăm într-un cerc vicios care se alimentează reciproc, dar cu negativ. Nici de aici nu dă o soluție pozitivă. Acum, și într-adevăr sunt specialiști agenții care au setup diferit. Sunt agenții care se comportă ca vendori, adică eu ți-i dau doar partea de îți livrez cantitatea de trafic care vrei, manual CPC și spuneam eu mai devreme, și gata. Și sunt agenții specialiști care pentru dâns care contează outcome-urile voastre și încep să vorbească și în limbajul vostru de business, în care vă întreabă, Valeriu, tu ești gata să te împarți cu mine, cu datele tale de vânzări pe ultimele 6 luni, și tu, că eu să-ți văd dinamicile tale. Valeriu, tu ne poți să-mi spui și marjă de profit ai peste produse la Smart. Eu vreau să văd pe ultimul an, sau preferabil pe ultimii 3, cum a evoluat fiecare categorie de produse și cum a evoluat vânzările și care e marja voastră.
Marja cum a evoluat?
Inclusiv.
A evoluat vânzările în funcție de marjă.
Corect. Și dacă eu ca agenție am inputurile astea, eu mai departe, dacă am expertiză, îmi construiesc strategie. Dar vezi, e despre sharing. Dacă voi sunteți la început, eu iarăși sunt agenții între agenții și specialiști în specialiști, e vorba și de artă negociere, cum voi negociați lucrurile astea. Într-adevăr, eu am lucrat în agenție. Poate pentru mine ar fi o ofensă că să-mi spună cineva că eu să plătesc numai că tu nu ești în vânzări. Tu ești speli pe mâini cu chestia asta. Tu nu ai să faci nici o îmbunătățire, că știi că tu oricum ai să mă plătești dacă tu ai să fii fericit. Iar eu o să fac iterații la mine, dar la tine nu se întâmplă nici o îmbunătățire. Asta nu lucrează, asta nu e parteneriat, asta e parazitism. Dar atunci când eu știu că tu ai niște commitment-uri față de mine și eu tot, noi avem un fel de joint business plan între noi, tu te obligi să faci chestii, eu fac trec la asta, eu mă oblig să fac chestii și tu te faci trec la asta, atunci asta poate să funcționeze. Și tu parțial te poți achita pe bază de niște costuri fixe pe setări, ca îi permiți lui să-și achite benzină până acasă, iar alte chestii să le achiți pe bază de success rate. Ca un bonus pe bază de atingerea KPI-urilor, de exemplu, ca o parte din vânzările aduse extra, ca o parte de show mers în afara planului. Știi? Adică, de asta tot se discută și tu trebuie tot să dai dovadă că ești implicat.
Nu este cineva rău sau e bun. Întrebarea mea din experiență, cum e construit corect?
Ți-am spus acum, adică asta parteneriatul trebuie să creează prin acțiuni care se întâmplă în oglindă. Și tu arăți că ești responsabil de asta și chiar ele se întâmplă. Dacă cineva din voi cade din ecuația asta, atunci parteneriatul se închide, adică nu e ok. Eu nu pot să dau rezultate dacă tu nu faci îmbunătățirile care eu ți le recomand să le faci. Înțelegi?
Iată un exemplu aici. Mă aduc aminte din trecut că se făcea campanii de publicitate și
Microfon.
Mersi. Se făcea campanie de publicitate, să zicem Black Friday sau ceva, o promoție, și era site-ul vechi sau cum este el rău, hai să spunem, din punct de vedere al promovării, și se făcea în mijloc un landing page care era bine făcut, cu informația numai care trebuie, focusul pe ce trebuie și de fapt se trăcuia câți oameni fac click, câți ajung și fac ceva pe site, completează un formular sau fac un subscribe undeva și apoi nimeresc pe site și mai departe este treaba celui cu site-ul. Și aici era un loc de mijloc unde se putea de văzut cât de eficient a fost campania, câte lead-uri, hai să spunem, a adus sau actions, depinde ce măsori și mergi mai departe. Probabil asta e o soluție de compromis când
Da, apropo, măsuratul mereu este o soluție, nu de compromis, e un pas important în sine, știi? Și dacă tu știi și devii foarte creativ în a măsura, asta îți dă și un leverage față de, probabil, de concurență, de exemplu, pentru că tu înțelegi mult mai bine și aduci tu prin volumele cele de trafic, în care voi toți trei concurenți, de exemplu, le investiți similar, dar o să fie diferența crucială de fapt ce se întâmplă mai departe. Și, by the way, există și alte tool-uri care recomand să le folosiți deja, care prelucrează userii când au ajuns deja pe site. Și care tot ați putea să le purtați în discuție cu specialiști interni sau cu agenții. Adică s-au adus traficul, s-au măsurat vânzările, dar mai departe ce se întâmplă? Doar există sisteme de mailing, există sisteme de notificări, există sisteme care permit crearea audiențelor și clusterizarea lor, există BigQuery care poate calcula probabilitățile unei vânzări. Pentru voi ar putea să fie interesant. Și asta se numește propensity modeling, care el calculează probabilitatea ca un user să facă o anumită acțiune. Pe baza, iarăși, microconversiilor care s-au întâmplat până la. Adică, corect. Și calculează o probabilitate statistică ca să ajungă la o anumită acțiune. Exact. Și asta atât încât se creează și într-o audiență vie, care tu îi poți să... Exact. Adică lucrurile astea sunt destul de interesante dacă se le abordezi corespunzător și creativ.
Sunt agenții full house, adică ele oferă servicii nu numai de marketing, dar și ei acoperă și partea de vânzări. Adică eu cred că mai degrabă v-ați putea să abordați așa o agenție în care ei se ocupă și pe partea de marketing, să vă creeze campanii și deja și pe partea de CRM și deja pe partea de vânzări. Adică ei vă creează sistemul, dar voi deja o utilizați.
Da. Și asta e un tip de agenție care cumva ar ști ce să vă recomande. By the way, noi avem vin și avem chestii de snack-uri și noi putem să continuăm și discuțiile astea acolo. Eu știu că e un pic frig și ați amorțit. Respectiv, noi chiar putem să ne mutăm și e totally fine. Și îmi dau seama că e și o oră mai târziu, pentru unii ar putea să fie târziu. Dacă vreți să mai rămânem, chiar cu mare plăcere putem să ne mutăm acolo și să ne mai încălzim cu niște vin.
Dacă îmi permiteți, aș vrea să adaug și eu un cuvânt. Mersi. Deci, eu mă bucur foarte mult că voi sunteți super implicați și vreau să-ți mulțumesc și ție, Roman, pentru prezentarea ta, pentru că ai acceptat această inițiativă. Restul întrebărilor le discutăm la networking. Tradițional încheiem prima parte a workshop-ului cu o poză comună După toți sunt invitați la un pahar de vin de la Sălcuța, o felie de pizza și multe întrebări la Roman. Mulțumesc!